everybody to be here today, and especially for our guests and our visitors for sharing with us today as well. And when I heard people speak today, it reminded me, I've worked up 20 years with homeless people on the streets of Leeds, and it reminded me of a man I met, not an asylum seeker, but somebody who's indigenous homeless, about 20 years ago when I came into post. And from that day to this, it's probably the worst case of sexual abuse I've ever come across in one individual. Absolutely harrowing, horrible, awful things have happened to this man. And myself and an organisation called St Anne's in Leeds started to work with this man, and we helped him get a flat, etc. And I remember we went to visit him one day, and we spent about an hour with him just sort of talking, this little flat he had. And just started pouring out this story of what happened to him. This story was a long story, it went on for weeks of sharing with us really, but he started to share the story with us, and it was just horrendous really. And I think we both worked out, myself and the work from St Anne's, who was the lady called Frida. I remember well, small little lady full of goodness and love really. And we drove back into Leeds, and we're both really shaken by what we'd heard, by what other human beings can do to other human beings. I remember being in this car and we're coming in where the train station is. And I remember saying to Frida, you know, it's amazing, it's just struck me the power that families have over their children, the godlike power to hurt or heal, to bless or burn, this awesome power. I remember Frida, as it was yesterday actually, turning from the wheel and saying, but you know something, John, we all have that power. We have the power every day to make a difference for the better in everything we do, with everyone we meet. And for me, that is the message of this meeting, is that all of us have that power, that potency, that possibility every day. We can walk out of here and make a difference, or we can just walk out of here and do nothing, or just do a job. And that is the real challenge. And I think the hope is in this room, and the hope is outside this room in similar discussions, similar alliances. And I think Rose is very right. These issues are now spilling out of the organisation into communities and society. This is really our moment where we can really make a difference and make those links. And I think there's a real possibility here of creating a real coalition of care across this city and across this country. I think there's a real possibility to create these strategic alliances for and with the most poor and marginalised people in our society, who are our brothers and sisters. And that's really the call, and it's a call actually fundamentally to be human. And I think most people want to be human, most people want to be kind. So I think there's a real challenge about how we use, not in a bad way, but in a good way, the encouragement for people to come and share. And one of the most amazing stories I think I ever heard was from Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a Jewish psychiatrist imprisoned in 4 of the concentration camps, including Auschwitz, during the Second World War. And Frankl talks about how in Auschwitz there was a small group of men and women in this awful, dark, hellish place, who went around every day in the presence of goodness and kindness and love in the camps. It's an amazing story. At Auschwitz, you got a little bit of food, a little bit of bread every day. They went around sharing what they had. And that to me is a tremendous thing, because it says that in the very worst, we can choose to be the best. We can choose to be the presence of goodness and kindness in what we do. But I think there's a price tag. The price tag is we can only be the best in the worst if we're the best every day. And that's the commitment we all have to make. When we get up in the morning, we have to make that commitment to go out, to try to change things, be the difference, be the change, to make that difference. And we'll fail. I fail it every day. But the important thing is we step forward and make that commitment. And we do keep throwing those starfish back into the sea and inviting other people back onto the beach to join us. So thank you so much for joining us today to do that.
Thank you.